There are names that send a chill down your spine, that curdle your blood, that inspire fear and dread. Theodore Robert Bundy, more notoriously known as Ted Bundy, is one such name.
My name is Ted Bundy.
While he charmed the world with his magnetic persona, what lay inside was his sadistic proclivity for the brutal violation and murder of innocent women. His good looks and charm disarmed his victims, entrancing them and luring them into his treacherous web. Bundy exploited his charisma, often feigning physical impairments or masquerading as an authority figure, cleverly manipulating his victims to follow him willingly. His weapon of choice was his innocuous Volkswagen Beetle, where he would bludgeon his victims into submission before subjecting them to horrifying sexual assault. Before murdering these women, discarding their bodies in remote locations, only to revisit them time and time again to perform unspeakable acts on their lifeless forms. Mercy was only afforded to these victims when decomposition set in, or when wild animals ravaged the bodies. Some victims were gruesomely decapitated, their severed heads retained as sickening keepsakes in his apartment. In other chilling instances, he would invade the sanctity of their homes, bludgeoning them to death as they lay sleeping. Yet some women survived the brutality of this man. These are their stories. RondaStapley. On October 11th, 1974, Stapley, then a 21-year-old pharmacy student, was waiting for a bus when Bundy pulled up in his notorious Volkswagen Beetle. He played the part of the Good Samaritan, offering a lift to the campus. Stapley, like his other victims, was easily taken in by his allure and charm. As she got into the vehicle, she noticed the absence of a door handle. Still, her concerns were allayed as the charming Ted, claiming to be a first-year law student, chatted amiably. Unbeknownst to her, the trap was set. Sensing a shift in the atmosphere as Bundy's demeanor changed abruptly, Stapley felt a wave of unease. Her worst fears were confirmed when he drove her to an isolated canyon picnic spot. Brought up in the Mormon faith, Stapley was a virgin, and the prospect of Bundy's unwelcome advances filled her with dread. The initial strangulation, she thought, was a cruel joke, but as his grip tightened, reality dawned upon her. This man intended to end her life. In and out of consciousness, she found herself on a picnic table, subjected to repeated sexual assault and strangulation. Bundy, in a fit of rage, reprimanded her. "You don't have the right to cry and whine at me. You should be thanking me that you're still alive. I can kill you whenever I want. You should be thanking me that you're even breathing air." In a sudden twist of fate, Bundy was distracted, his attention drawn away from his seemingly lifeless victim. Seizing this fleeting chance, Stapley fled into the woods, her pants restricting her escape. She stumbled into a fast-flowing mountain stream, an event she believed saved her from Bundy's relentless pursuit. Overwhelmed with shame, she made the long 16-kilometer journey back to her home. The stigma associated with being a rape victim, particularly in the context of her Mormon upbringing, deterred her from revealing her torment. However, after decades, an incident at work resurrected those buried feelings, prompting her to share her story. With an indomitable spirit, she shared her story and had one message for the public. The main thing I wanted to tell people was that they're not alone. Carol DeRanch. When she was 18, Carol DeRanch worked as a telephone operator. DeRanch crossed paths with Bundy at the Fashion Place Mall in Murray on November 8, 1974. Pretending to be Officer Roseland, Bundy claimed he was investigating a break-in at her vehicle, persuading her to accompany him to the police station. She detected the scent of alcohol in his breath, a detail which Bundy himself later confirmed was a precursor to his heinous crimes. Easing her fears with a flash of his badge, she unsuspectingly stepped into his car. Soon, she noticed the trajectory deviating from the route to the police station. A sense of foreboding began to set in. Her heart pounded as he pulled the car over on a desolate side street near an elementary school. Panic consumed her when she realized the passenger door lacked an easily accessible handle. Bundy, in a sudden violent frenzy, attempted to handcuff her. Managing to cuff only one wrist, he brandished a gun, threatening to blow her head off. Yet, in the fate of certain death, Duranch fought back. She managed to escape from the car, but was pursued by Bundy, who now brandished a crowbar. Salvation arrived in the form of Wilbur and Mary Walsh, an elderly couple driving by. In a surge of adrenaline, Duranch jumped into their car, the handcuffs still hanging from her wrist. Later that night, Bundy claimed another victim, 17-year-old Deborah Jean Kent. Duranch, however, stood strong and became a key witness in Bundy's trial, identifying him as her abductor and helping bring him to justice. The encounter left Duranch wary of strangers and distrustful, yet she forged on, earning a degree in business management and raising a son. Reliving her encounter, Duranch stated, "Even now, I'm not entirely comfortable. I enjoy my anonymity when I have it. I also realize that it is an important story to tell, and if someone can benefit in a positive way from it, then that's what I want." Karen Chandler. The unfathomable occurred on the icy night of January 15th, 1978, when Ted Bundy paid a sinister visit to the Chi Omega sorority house, slaughtering 2 innocent souls. Miraculously, 2 women survived his brutal onslaught. Among them was 19-year-old Karen Chandler. Chandler was slumbering peacefully alongside her roommate, Kathy Kleiner, when their tranquil dreams were abruptly shattered. Their sanctuary was invaded by the grim figure of Bundy. Woken up by the sudden commotion, Chandler was abruptly thrust into a nightmare. Bundy unleashed his wrath upon her with a wooden stick, delivering blow after merciless blow. Their fate seemed sealed until a pair of car headlights, like divine intervention, illuminated the room through the open curtains. Believing he had been spotted, Bundy fled from the scene, abandoning the wounded Chandler and Kleiner. Despite suffering from a concussion, a shattered jaw, and several missing teeth, Chandler managed to drag herself from the room to summon help for Kleiner. Later, regaining consciousness in an intensive care unit with her parents solemnly keeping vigil, Chandler was confronted with the horrifying news of the cold-blooded murder of her sorority sisters, Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy. The reality sunk in that the room had just been a few doors away from the crime scene, a chilling reminder of the fate that they had narrowly avoided. However, Chandler was made of resilient material. After a brief hiatus for recovery, she made the bold decision to return to Florida State University. She continued her education and even opted to remain in the Chi Omega sorority house, the very setting of her near-death experience. Fearlessly, she believed that the house was now the safest spot on campus, thanks to the escalated security measures. Chandler empathetically declared that she wouldn't allow the Bundy episode to overshadow her life. Presently, she relishes a fulfilling life filled with family, a lasting marriage of 40 years, 2 loving children, and 3 cherished grandchildren. Cheryl Thomas. 21-year-old Cheryl Thomas was a dance student at Florida State University, living just 8 blocks from the Chi Omega sorority house, where Bundy had recently slain 2 and severely injured 2 others. Cheryl had no inkling of the nightmare about to unfold in her own home. Bundy, his face obscured with a makeshift pantyhose mask, crept into Cheryl's duplex house around 4 a.m. on January 15, 1978. He slithered through the basement window like a poisonous snake, ready to strike an unsuspecting prey. That night, Cheryl had returned home way past midnight, cooked herself dinner, and fell into a peaceful sleep, unaware of the impending terror. However, she was woken by the demonic visage of Ted Bundy standing over her. He unleashed a brutal assault, causing grievous injuries. Her shoulder dislocated, skull fractured in 5 places, and jaw fractured. She was left incapacitated, gasping for help. As a chilling farewell, Bundy barricaded the entrance door with a large chair and fled through the kitchen window's mosquito screen. Luck, however, was on Cheryl's side that night. Alerted by the commotion, her neighbors came to her aid. Debbie Ciccarelli, who lived next door, dialed Cheryl's number after hearing the distressing sounds. Hearing Cheryl's agonizing moans but receiving no response, the neighbors urgently informed the police. It was this quick response that ultimately spared her life. Upon arrival, the police found Bundy's mask strewn on Cheryl's bed, brimming with hair that would later be identified as Bundy's. Further investigation unearthed a semen stain on the bed, even though Cheryl was not sexually assaulted. Bundy had gleaned every sort of sick pleasure from viciously attacking Cheryl. Cheryl survived the attack, but the assault left her permanently deaf in one ear and inflicted equilibrium damage, cruelly severing her dreams of a dance career. Nevertheless, her fighting spirit emerged. Determined to regain control of her life, Cheryl decided to retrain her body, a decision that would eventually allow her to earn her bachelor's and master's degree in dance and deaf education. Cheryl, a survivor in every sense of the word, is now married with 2 children, aiding the hearing impaired through dance. Suria Kos. In the darkest depths of her mind, Suria Kos clings to the haunting belief that the only reason she managed to survive her encounter with Ted Bundy was because of her hair. On a fateful snowy day in 1972, Suria was standing alone at a desolate bus stop in the freezing cold, yearning for escape from the relentless chill. And then, like a sinister apparition, a tan Volkswagen Bug pulled up beside her. Behind the wheel sat a man of striking appearance, his wavy hair and piercing dark eyes casting an eerie allure. He offered her a ride, a seemingly kind gesture amid the biting cold. "I've come down from Rainier Avenue, and that's a long way, and there's no bus in sight. Would you like a ride?" His words echoed in her mind. Eager to escape the frigid torment, she accepted his offer, oblivious to the true nature of the man beside her. Little did she know that she had willingly entered the realm of one of America's most prolific serial killers. As the car glided along the road, her unease grew, for the path he took veered farther away from her campus, leading her into the heart of her worst nightmares. A sense of dread enveloped Suria when she noticed his repeated furtive movements beneath his seat. Suddenly, he erupted in a fit of rage, his piercing voice resonating with madness. "Why did you take this ride? Why did you even think about taking this ride? You're never going to make it to school." Fear tightened its grip around her heart, and the realization of imminent danger flooded her thoughts. Amidst tears and desperation, Suria found herself at the mercy of Bundy's violent outbursts. She considered jumping out of the car, but there was no handle on the passenger side door. Bundy noticed her attempts to run and began yelling at her, telling her that she would never escape. After that, he demanded that she remove her hat, an inexplicable request that left her bewildered, yet compliant. In that vulnerable moment, as she bared her head, Ted Bundy's expression twisted with surprise. A surge of anger consumed him, and abruptly he pulled the car to a halt. With force, he cast her out onto the cold ground and drove off. Unbeknownst to Suria, her fate hinged on the fact that Bundy had a sick obsession with women who had long brown hair. And in fact, most of Bundy's victims possessed long brown hair. By sheer chance, Suria had made the decision to cut her locks just a week prior. It was this deviation from his twisted preference that spared her life. She would never know for certain if Bundy had stalked or patiently awaited her, but the truth lurked in the shadows. Perhaps it was a twist of fate, a last-minute alteration to his gruesome plan that saved her. Recounting the harrowing events that she went through that day, Suria said, "I knew 100% that was the guy. I'm more than lucky. I just thank God I'm alive every day." These were the incredible stories of the women that faced death at the hands of Ted Bundy and survived to tell the story. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from, here at the Murder Encyclopedia.